jobs to ensure that our environment is more sustainable to provide for our current generation while not compromising the ability of the future generation to benefit from the same environment. With that, Daktari, welcome, and take us through the presentation. I think you have 15, 16 minutes. I'll be your timekeeper, and then the questions and the comments can come after, since you have a very tight program after this. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Jackson, and team for organizing this. Of course, I would say very quickly, it's a privilege for me to be here today and to really share with you. I mean, there's no best moment for any university other than a time when you are able to meet policymakers, community, the civil society, and other development partners. So that's the only way a university creates influence and impact. And I will take you through my presentation. I don't know if it's already set up here. And very well. So I'll be relatively quick, but I'll try to point out some of the items that have been raised by Jackson. Of course, we are talking about green jobs, and every one of us probably really have a bit of insights on green jobs. For us, green jobs will mean really those jobs have meaning, real meaning to the environment and people. I mean, we come from a point of view that it's not all about environment per se, but it's about the nexus between environment and people, because it's the people who really make the environment what it is. So how best would we really enhance the people engagement, the people capacity to really make the environment sustainable? So it's using the people power to make the environment work. And that's the essence. That's what we are talking about here. For the brief highlights on climate justice, it's all painted here. And for us, climate justice means, I mean, every one of you is aware on how many people could be extremely vulnerable. A number of people, especially in Africa. But then how do we position them so that we protect their vulnerability, and how can we enhance their resilience? So in terms of climate justice, we give due what is due. And at the same time, we are able to create framework that is able to engage, get the capacity of people to really be above board the effect of climate change, to really protect their rights, to really have their capacity engaged so that we are able to deliver to greater needs. Now, how do we therefore work on this model towards transiting to green jobs? And that's what I'm going to speak about today. And I'm not going to be extremely elaborate. I'm going to talk about the Strathmore University case in picking out what are some of the key things that we are doing that could be translating to green jobs in essence. And I'll just give you a brief today. We're celebrating this year, the whole of 2023 at Strathmore University, every one of us, in our model, in our operation, in our way of working, we're actually talking about protecting our common home. And it's all about sustainability theme throughout the university, throughout the year. Tomorrow, we will be discussing this at the Vice Chancellor's Forum. I mean, it starts from leadership. One of the factors that actually makes sustainability not work across the world, starting point, if there's no buying in by the leaders. For us, probably we're lucky because our leader sees it as one of the ways, one of the best ways possible, one of the gates. So from leadership, therefore, it's very easy for policy to pass. It's very easy for us to really get the right policy around climate change, around climate conservation, around people development, and such like events around sustainability. So I just want to bring this to your attention, and I'm speaking this really adding up to our role working with communities on really cascading our theme of the year. At Strathmore University, it's about making it green. From development, operations, training, programs, research, community engagement, talk about it. But then we say, it's our belief that actually that's what makes a 21st century university. Any university today has to go that direction because that's the demand. We are really the power of knowledge, fine. But what kind of knowledge are we producing? So our knowledge rotates around green development, around sustainable development goals and all that. Now we are operating on the core principle. Of course, ILO knows it very clearly. And within our plug points, I know we are big in knowledge. We really share knowledge to the widest point possible you can ever think about. We create knowledge. That's really our role. We do a lot in terms of capacity building, in terms of testing projects in different communities, and informing policy. I mean, at the university, our work is not just to really teach students, but we're also working with development partners and governments in terms of trying to give insights around policy development. Now, one of the areas, if I bring to your attention, and why I say policy is extremely important, we have an environmental policy at the university. Now, this really a version revised 2018. And within the core of this, one of them is compliance. We are very key on that in terms of how we do business and how we comply to several other aspects. Legislation is important for us. Regulation is important to us around sustainability. We work on sustainable procurement. I mean, any one of us today need to realize this is one area that you have to be very conscious about. How do you procure? Because when you procure, you are working with suppliers, they understand you, and you are cascading sustainability process. We do sustainable construction. I'm just going to unpack this to you at some point. But if in the buildings you do, how sustainable? So I'm going to give you a case of Strathmore University, how we are entrenching this. Now, waste reduction and management is really big for us. I mean, we work with over 6,000 students and over 700 plus staff. So you can imagine if we don't have a clear framework on the same. Emission reduction, we are conscious about that. Strathmore University is actually a green university. We are net zero in terms of carbon, because what we produce and how much we mitigate is bigger than that. So we are actually at net zero in terms of the amount of carbon we produce and how we relieve them off the market or off the environment as well. Then biodiversity protection, both by research and community projects. Now, largely, we are operating on sustainability principles, and this, we embed it in our curriculum, in our academic programs. If we look at our programs, then you'll see in one or the other, you'll see different aspects of sustainable development goals entrenched. Now, simple case scenario. How are our buildings? Now, most of our buildings are in this form. Of course, this is one of the largest buildings on campus, the business school. But if you look at the business school, you look at our student center, you look at management science building, you look at our phase one of the university, they take this kind of model. Now, we are extremely conscious about energy conservation. Now, most of our buildings, above 0.5% of our energy consumption come from what we generate. And what happens on daily use, you're aware all our classes will run throughout the day. So how do we save energy? We largely base on natural light. So that's how most of our buildings are designed. If you look at the building on the extreme, our walls in terms of aeration and all that, so we are really keen on how much of the energy we consume and how much we depend on green energy. We have programs that influence greening in the industry, and one of them is being the Center for Sustainability Leadership. Now, this is where different programs like climate leadership programs are entrenched. Moving away from normal undergraduate programs to executive programs that have impact in society, we tailor-make programs around sustainability. We tailor-make projects. We tailor-make kind of programs. And this is how we are able to influence practice in the industry. We are talking about training, we are talking about research, we are talking about projects and advisory, and we are talking about community of practice. Just trying to influence a bigger to consider. In terms of research, conservation research, we know most parts of Africa, and Kenya particularly, there's the biodiversity as a resource. How do we make biodiversity count to people? Narok, for example, Laikipia, for example, Nakuru, for example, how much do communities tap into biodiversity as a resource? We are talking about supply chain management and operations. This program has a whole course on industrial ecology and symbiosis, checking on circular economy concept. So you realize Strathmore University courses have every bit of sustainable development goal being entrenched into. It's a very intentional process. Then we are talking about inclusive capacity building for jobs. I mean, we are privileged to be a bit of an extra mile in terms of green energy, the solar power use. And what happens, we're using that to influence capacity building. We don't really leave anyone out, including the ladies. It's important. Many times people think wiring, or the people can now come and train and they get to job. Working with communities. These are not Strathmore University students per se. These are people from communities who come for short courses to learn about the solar power connection and such like things. And they're able to go out and get their jobs and do this in communities where they are. Now, small business entrepreneurship, Strathmore is a long way. Strathmore would stretch, and we influence small businesses. I was very happy we have different small businesses here. But how can they make their businesses green? How can they transform their businesses to have greater impact in terms of economic benefits and in terms of greater impact in terms of environmental well-being, but also for the benefits, their profits as people in business? We're talking about, so we are not leaving any business here. For the small business enterprise, it's really a big business. The USAID project really cuts across and is taking care of so many counties. I know a number of you could have really had an impact on the same. But then we are also looking at accelerator programs, which is targeting groups that have not really been into the sector so much, but just trying to empower them into the big economic sector. So they are quite tailored projects of this kind. Now, one area is business innovation and the business incubation and innovation. If you are young people, I was so impressed when I was sitting with CSOs. If you have young people who are really enthusiastic incubating their businesses with sustainability in mind, we have at IBIS, at Strathmore University, incubating them, building their framework, positioning them for venture capital, and then they're able to set up their businesses. Now, this is big time, and this is influencing a number of young people in different courses coming together to build up that kind of framework of business development. Now, for Strathmore University in brief sense, in just making a quick summary, we have a framework, and our framework is based on leadership, is based on values, is based on partnerships and collaboration, is based on capacity building, we have research and innovation. That's our operation principle. That's our framework. That's our scope. But then Strathmore University is working within the scope. Of course, the target is to deliver the jobs. That's important for us. But then what are the key elements that are important in this kind of framework? One of them is talking about capacity building and mainstreaming SDGs. I said about this. I mean, all our courses. We're actually trying to tailor all courses, every program, guys. But then above all, we're also looking at green operation. How do we do business at the university? With ourselves and with our suppliers. That's important. How do we do our curriculum to be green? How do we make our programs more green? How do we do research? Which kind of research? With which groups? And then how can our research influence community practice into sustainability? Now, that's big time for us because we are limitless of the scope of research we can do. Food security, community development, biodiversity conservation, climate change resilience, innovation and tech, call it anything. But then we always try as much as possible that the areas that could be able to positively influence environment and people livelihoods. Now, partnership is important for us. We come from the principle that we cannot do it alone, guys. Whichever big university is, if you don't work with partners. And that's why we are aggressive for every partner that has like-mindedness in sustainability will come for you. We'll welcome you at the university. We will work together because overall we are looking for impact, both for our people and communities and for the environment. Now, largely, we are doing a blend. I mean, with us, in terms of looking at sustainability, is about the people and environment. So at the end of it all, these are the kind of jobs that will define this kind of model. So if we blend all this together, then that's how we are able to stand up as a university and giving leadership in terms of green jobs. I would, in brief, say, for our unpacking of what green jobs are, that's the kind of really mechanism, that's the kind of model that we are trying to work through so that we are able to deliver to this kind of destination. And you can be sure no one is left out in this. We are most happy to work with communities because one of our value proposition is service to society. It's really very intentional. And then it means we can work from the lower level up to the higher level working with governments. Now, I was so impressed, and I leave this. This is going to be my last slide. But I was extremely impressed when I was sitting with the CSOs. And one of the things that the CSOs said, I captured this. I take this home with me to the university. And they said, one of the areas they can actually leverage in working with universities and vocational institutions is about research, is about data, is about skill gap assessment, is about opportunities for the youth, is about capacity need assessment, is about program design, is about engagement. And they bolded that engagement. I put it in yellow because they said it really with a good strength. And they said community level courses and projects on climate change resilience and emerging issues. I love this, and I carry this home to the university because this is actually going to inform how we engage and work further. Jackson, I hope I managed to take my time and just to really give highlights on how Strathmore University is working around sustainability programs. I mean, we open the university to you. Come, we work together on this.
Thank you so much, Daktari, for a summarized presentation, and I listened to him quite keenly. In the sense of all courses, all curriculum, everything they do at the university, they have taught about sustainability being at the center of everything. When you do it, think about sustainability. When you do this, think about sustainability. And I think this also resonates well, Isaac and the team in PPDP, that as you design up phase 2, as we go into the next phase of the program or any other program, think about sustainability from the onset. And I think you have really put it quite well. But I had a question. I don't know whether time allows. How many jobs, green jobs, has Strathmore been able to create? I don't know whether you have the statistics through all these, whether it is in the construction that is greening, the training. Is it possible to say now Strathmore University has created X number of jobs that are green from the university before you go to the multiplier effect, because then they are going out many more of the students going through your programs?
Jackson, I'll be very sincere about this one. I certainly don't have statistics on this one, but I think it's a good challenge because we just need to start documenting. In terms of a first-line job creation, how many of the jobs we can actually say before the multiplier that are actually green jobs? So I would be very plain about that, but I think it's an area that we need to work on and start documenting.
Thank you so much. Anybody who has a question for him? Because I know he's going for a meeting and for the next 2 hours he's engaged. Is there a question that we can pose to him? There is one here. Then there is a second question there. Get a mic there as Chase asks a question.
Yeah, thank you, Jackson. I'll be brief, but I think I'm thinking about the presentation in the context of where we work and the people we work with, which is the communities, SUSWA, really villages and local areas. And I was listening, and Jackson, you spoke about, for example, we work with VTCs. So one possibility of areas of work is on curriculum. I'm talking about collaboration courses and so on, and integrating aspects of climate justice, green jobs. You spoke about also energy, so issues to do with solar, for example, but when you talk about energy in those settings, it's mainly firewood. So my question is, when you reflect what you do at Strathmore, how can you help us to conceptualize and localize within those communities, really villages, Maasai areas, what can we do there at that level? What can we take? How can we apply? How can we bring it down a bit? Or, or even from the point of sensitization, because some of those things, you can easily talk with an audience maybe, and they understand. But when you go to those areas and how they've been living and, traditions, cultures, and so, how can we contextualize or localize? How can we bring it down in terms of practical things that we can do within the context of the work we are doing? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jackson, for that very informative presentation. My name is Teresa from Mura Girl Child Education Program, and we've been working in Suswa, which is an area that is highly degraded because of the soil erosion and the impacts of, the terrain, and there are also other environmental challenges like lack of water, which affects even our programs. For example, when you're working with a girl child, one of the sensitive issues is access to sanitary towels. But even if you provide a solution like reusable sanitary towels, water still remains a problem. And the fact that there is no water also creates an opportunity for, employment or job. So in your thinking, what will you envision civil society organizations that can create jobs that respond to the environmental needs of the communities they are working in? How will that look like? Would it be a capacity building program from Strathmore to the CSOs? How then do we respond to these other issues that arise from our programming in a way that still creates employment, but also responds to the concerns of sustainability and conservation? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jackson. And I'll be very quick on this one, though that really touched my heart. But I will start with this one. You asked me, when we are talking about solar power and the kind of projects we do at the university in Nairobi, but then the influence of a university is off the city, largely. And what happens, how best a university would cascade the knowledge that looks so complex into most applicable at local level. That's really the top measure of our impact. So I like what you said. While the local community, in terms of their capacity, they cannot get the solar equipment that we are talking about, how do we look at what is in the locality and make it useful for them? That's what we call local-based solutions. And then we use the nature-based approaches. I mean, if it's the firewood they have, if it is, what's the best way, of different models now we work on in terms of the, what are called the stoves, the what are called the energy efficient system. So how do we tap into them, and where do they get their wood from? We could do a model. Woodlots are not gone. Who says they're not there? But then how do we model the whole area? How do we understand the ecology of the area, the needs of the people, the kind of resources they have, the kind of resource the nature provide in the local context? Then we tap that and bring the energy of the people. I would love that. I'm an ecologist by training. My work doesn't remain in paper writing, but I love it most when my work gets applied to the people. We are currently doing a carbon markets for Mau. But then it's about bringing the livelihoods to people, making it count to people. So if I were to get a chance to really understand the community very well and work with the community and co-create a project that can actually bring that to light, and then people can see, wow, we can actually get other ways of getting our energy without necessarily really leveraging on that. But the principle is a conservation principle. Also, local-based approaches. So I'll be very glad to really inform that kind of a scenario. So it's not lost. University can cascade knowledge based on the principle. In terms of Suswa, I mean, that touches everyone's heart. I mean, if you don't have water, then you like 65% you don't have the basic need. So what happens, Suswa, the problem of water for people, sanitary towels and how they manage that. Even if you bring that and there's no water, then there's still a complexity. Health issues come, food strain comes, everything rotates around water. So I think, lady, the best thing is to really understand the area. And what is it that the top resource? From a nature-based solution, we look at the area, we look at the resources, we look at the strengths in the area. Then what are the weaknesses? Then how do we use the strength of the nature provision to unlock the challenges in the community? That's climate resilience. And this is doable, Jackson, because that's about enhancing the resilience of the common people. But you can't do it without understanding their deep needs and what are the strengths that the environment in their locality provide. That's how we operate in science. I'll be very glad if it is possible to work with the community, even writing a concept I mean, we could get somebody to fund this, and then we are able to drive the resilience of those communities. I think for us as a university, we don't have money so much to really go down, do the project, but we can work with development partners and research projects to really unlock some of the community challenges. And that's why our hands are very open to work with everyone in the room who is able to go for this kind of solutions. I think, Jackson, thank you.
Thank you so much. Can you take one more question? One more?
I'm sorry, I can't take one
Okay.
more because I have to run and set up for the next.
Thank you so much for...
Can be written down, and I could be able to respond to it.
Okay, that's what I wanted to suggest. Can we have that question written down? Then we can have it addressed. Yes. There's a question from, I think, thank you so much, Daktari. We can allow you to go prepare for the meeting. We will have the questions and the feedback from you after some time, because the secretary can lift that with you.
If it comes early, I would actually stream it. I just type the response and we can get it back to the recipient.
Thank you. Take the question to Isaac. Thank you so much, and I want to invite Paris to come. And Paris told me she has a very brief presentation of 2 to 3 minutes. Then she can also give us a small presentation. But she's not projecting. Is that true, Paris? Okay. So Paris is from the private sector. We've listened from the academia. Now it's good to listen from the private sector, how they do business and embed sustainability within their frameworks. Take it away.
Good morning, everyone. I know I've stood up so many times that I don't know. Someone, I think after this meeting, will be asked who was that, and they might not be able to say who. But I think it's a privilege, it's an honor, even to be in this forum today with the many hats as a partner in the Ppdp steering committee, also coming in as a company, coming in as a chair. But in all those sectors, I believe what we have been discussing and what we have said here concerns each and every of those sectors. So my name is Paris Mbuthia, and I'm standing in for Jacinda Bedi, who is the chairman of Keproba. And I will be talking about the greening of the textile industry. That is why I've put my specs on. See, I look different. Yes. So just a brief background on Keproba. Keproba is basically Kenya Export Promotion and Branding Agency that mainly works with market intelligence in terms of getting reports on and market trends, and also the market opportunities that are available, and also in product development and adaptation of the same, basically meaning that there is the product design, there's the value addition. I like what we have seen when we are having our tea. The teas that are vanilla tea, chamomile, ginger, si mumekunywa. Yes, value addition to our own teas, which includes also packaging. You can see there's a lot of improvement on packaging and labeling of our products. Also, Keproba deals with the internal and external trade policies, with the environmental review to enhance export production and competitiveness, making sure that the policies are able to guide what we are able to sell out there, and also building and enhancing the country's image and national identity, basically through our products. So that's just a rough brief of what Keproba does, and basically just promoting our products into the international market. So as I come back now to what we are discussing today about the greening of the textile industry, there was a course I was doing and in my degree, and it was on environmental issues. And I remember one time we had a cat that was asking what can be done about industrialization and its effects to the environment. And you realize that actually industrialization has a lot of effects on the environment, and maybe very little can be done as everybody is expanding. But when we come to the greening of the textile industry, basically what we are looking at, on is sustainable, eco-friendly processes in the textile industry. When we talk about sustainable eco-friendly processes, we mean that there is preservation of the environment or restoration by use of environmental friendly processes of both raw materials that have less emissions, minimal waste, and less pollution to the environment, thus reducing the impacts of climate change. So when we talk about greening of the textile industry, basically what we are looking at is use of, we can say it is use of alternatives, methods on production of reducing pollution and carbon emissions. Now, when we come back to have a case study, I will use two companies, that is Benny Investments Limited and also Fine Spinners Uganda Limited. And we can look at on sustainability of green production. In Fine Spinners Uganda, we grow cotton. And as we know, cotton is a natural raw material, meaning it is biodegradable. And so that is the main raw material that is used in Fine Spinners Uganda Limited for making of t-shirts. And there is the use of very environmental friendly chemicals and dyes that are less hazardous to the environment, especially when you look at cotton growing. Even when you Google up on the growing of cotton in India, you'll see that it has a lot of use of pesticides that have become very harmful. And so what we look at is using chemicals that are environmental friendly, causing less harm, and also by protecting the workers that grow the cotton. I wish I had that clip. I would have played it for you. Then obviously there is a consistent testing of chemicals by China labs, that is CMIA, that are approved also by the buyer brands, because whatever we do is based on the buyer demand. And because they're international buyers, most of their productions are audited. And so for the t-shirts is BCI, Better Cotton Initiatives. And so they try to make sure that the processes are followed and that also the product is very safe. Also sourcing of raw materials. I now look at at both case studies. When you source raw material, it means that the raw material comes in processed. By this I mean we have the yarn. The yarn is the raw material that is used for the production of the yarn and basically the fabric. So we import fiber dyed yarn, meaning that we will not have to dye the yarn in our processes. And so we preserve the environment. So by importing either the fiber dyed raw material or fiber dyed fabric, that means that we conserve environment in terms of the use of harsh chemicals and also the release of hazardous chemicals to environment. And so on reduction of the carbon footprint, obviously by those less carbon emissions, we use biomass boilers and also electric boilers so that we see how to reduce the use of fuels and fossils in the boilers, wood and sawdust. We have some of the industries that have adopted to the bricks that they are able to use, and so conserving our environment in terms of cutting down of trees to be used as firewood, that one is mitigated. Also, use of suction fans, ventilators, and fume extractors, just to see that there is less pollution into the environment. So when we come back to also energy conservation, the use of clean and renewable energy, most factories have adopted to the solar energy. Though it has become very expensive, it was affordable until when the fight began between KPLC being a monopoly supplier. And so right now what we are seeing is that the prices are almost becoming unaffordable or not cost effective friendly. But there is the use of solar power There is the use of energy-saving bulbs. Obviously, in industry, there is a lot of lighting. When you look at the textile industry, most of the machines, they need to have a lot of lighting, especially the sewing machines. All of them are electric, and they need proper lighting for the user to be able to see what one is producing. And sometimes even the lighting is controlled by the audits that are carried out by the buyers. We also use translucent iron sheets, as we have heard from my colleague. Basically, some go-downs have the translucent iron sheets just to make sure there is natural light, including opening up spaces. For example, if we did our lights off, I'm sure the natural light from outside will still serve as well. And finally, yes, we have been involved in a lot of tree planting, which we believe that also goes a long way in saying that we are able to conserve our environment. And so when we look at the carbon print also, this looks also into the growing of cotton, as I've mentioned, in terms of reducing the emissions that come up because of the chemicals that are used, and also preservation of livelihoods that are there. So one of the remarks we got was from somebody called Dr. Jonas Mark of Otto Group. Otto is a big brand, and says a container from Uganda to Hamburg uses about 5.02 tons less of carbon emission than Bangladesh garment vendors due to the verticality of the operations. That means we do not ship to process some of those raw materials, unlike the other parts of the world that would go into it. And so with the processes that have been able to be adopted, we look into seeing that our production does not really harm the environment, but we are able to preserve. When you look at this, the circularity in production of zero waste, one is adopting a circular economy, and also seeing that the processes, there is very little waste in the processes, and also reuse of the waste that is generated. For example, if you take bed investments, you will maybe we are doing a production, and obviously there is fabric. From the fabric, after you cut the garment, there is the waste cut pieces. Now those cut pieces move again into production for the production of pillows, or what do you call it, the pet beds. Maybe it's a dog bed, a cat bed, and sometimes they are also sold out to vendors who use them for making of furniture. Also, recycling of water by use of water treatment plants. This one, we have seen it across the industries, depending on the amount of water that is generated, but it's a preservation in terms of less water usage and losses into the environment. So there is the recycling of water, and we have tried to adopt to the borehole water. Unfortunately, it is not very cost effective. It has very many salts, and sometimes it's harmful to the equipment. For example, the boilers, the pipings, even when used in the restrooms, you find that sometimes it corrodes the ceramics. So it's not very cost effective, but one or another will still try to balance the two. Now, when we look at the green jobs in the textile industry, I remember at one time we were doing a feed bag for Lorraine Bush, and it included a fashion fabric, meaning, I don't know whether we can remember those old gunias before the sisal, the plastic ones came, the sisal bags. Nazikumbuka zile za zamani. So we would use that fabric to make a bag. Only the inside would have a lining of a cloth, and the outwork work was beadwork. So we engaged a lot of the deaf and dumb to be able to do the beadwork, because basically we needed their hands. And as you can see, there is no emission anywhere as they did that job. And also the product itself is very environmental friendly. And so when we talk about textile research, as many embark, I wish my colleague was here from Strathmore, if they can embark on those research programs, because those ones have got no hazard. So the textile industry is able to provide that, the research jobs, textile designs. You don't need to emit anything to do a design, a fabric design. And I believe as we move into that, the fashion industry has no end. So that is one of the avenues that the textile industry can create a green job. Even when it comes to the leather industry, the designs don't really affect our environment. Then we have digitalizing the processes, e.g. the pattern making. What happens in a textile industry or in a garment industry is that when I want to make a bulk production, I will do the pattern, and then I will lay out a big sheet of brown paper and then place my patterns and then cut them for them to move into the bulk production. Now, when we digitalize that, it means that now we stop wasting the paper, and the paper still know where it comes from. So the tree is safe, and also we don't have that waste, and so we can only be able to use our computers and be able to design the same. Then when it comes to check and balance, obviously we have environmental policies that are adopted in the factories, and waste management policies, and also legal and statutory legislators, e.g. NEMA, who have become very tough, and also the Ministry of Environment. We do have checks and audits every other day. And as I mentioned before, every time you do an export order, there are checks and balances from the audits that are carried out. Some of the audits are for RAP, we have SMETA, we have SEDEX, and so in these audits, there is a lot of audit also that must touch on environmental issues. And so for this all to be achieved, obviously there is awareness trainings to the organizations. As I sat here yesterday as CAM always has energy audits and also carries out trainings for organizations in terms of environmental issues, and also organizations carry out awareness programs for the workers. So when we look at the textile industry in a nutshell, that would be a proposition in terms of greening of the textile industry. Now, we have a very interesting component in that the West market loves polyester because it's a wash and wear, it's an easy. But we have another side of the West that loves wool, another side of the West that loves cotton. Now, the West that loves polyester, that is a market that needs a lot of awareness so that they can be able to adopt to the wool or adopt to the cotton so that we go back to the naturals. And also, when we consider the market trends, sometimes they dictate what we produce. So as much as we would want to be very environmental friendly, the markets out there, because by the end of the day we need to do business, you find that the trends of the people sometimes act as a big hindrance in terms of fashion and what we would like to conserve. And so for the textile industry, yes, that is what goes on across the board, but in Kenya we've got very few vertically integrated textile mills, meaning that they carry out the whole process from the raw material to the final product. But most of them have adapted from the end stage, which means that is only the apparel sector. So we hope that even on our part, we'll be able to adopt to fashion that is actually conserving our environment. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Pers. Can you give a better applause? I don't want her to answer any question from anyone, but I want to ask her if she can accept to invite PPDP partners and others to the factory where they do the work, because there we do a tour and we can ask all the practical questions from the start to the end. That's the question I want you to answer.
We did have a forum whereby we had a big team coming in for a factory tour. And yes, you can come in again.
Thank you so much. You are all invited, and I know they have been doing a good job of clothing us. When I see beautiful faces and people in clothes, we know Ped is also contributing to our looking good. But before I conclude, I see Isaac is standing here and wants to bring the next session. I just wanted to, what did I pick from this session from academia and also from the private sector when they talk about sustainability or ensuring their greening of jobs or transition to, they call green transition. And I've picked a few things and I want to highlight them here as we conclude. One is on governance and leadership. At the center of all these changes, it requires leadership. And that leadership that is visionary and with the proper strategy of execution, environmental stewardship, and social responsibility. We could hear at the end, they're talking about whatever products that we are producing for the market, we must respond to social responsibility. We have a responsibility for, in terms of the social aspects. Then I have also picked the circular economic model, that how do we turn waste into, in the whole value chain, we need to ensure that there is minimized waste, so that every process in the value chain, the waste here becomes the raw materials of the next step. And if we do that, we are able to ensure that the environment is clearly protected and that the investments that are going into this are also smart. I also heard from the university as well, transformation and ensuring adaptations and resilience to the communities that are dealing with really natural disasters. How do we ensure that they are adaptive and become more resilient in those contexts? But I also heard about natural capital and the biodiversity, in the sense the university has emphasized about looking at the resources that we have. You know, if you go to Suswa, the question that was asked, there are natural resources there, there are indigenous knowledge. We need to put these two together to be able to provide a product. And lastly, talking about the design of the construction, the design of the factories, and this all mix, they have to be designed in a way of ensuring sustainability in mind, energy efficiency or efficiency of resource use of any nature. And finally, as Isaac may stand to take to the next session, I want to conclude and saying, if we want change, and a genuine change, it has to start from me and you, isn't it? So if we want to transform this country, we want to transform the communities to the level that they desire, that change must start from you and me. We are not waiting anyone to come and impose the change. If we don't change, then nothing sustainable can come out of it. So thank you so much for your time, for listening to the two speakers, and I hope we have found valuable lessons to pick from. Thank you, Isaac.
Thank you, Jackson. Being also my leader, he delivers on. Jackson is very passionate about green economy, just transition, green climate change, climate transition, and we've been discussing this with him. Thank you so much for those who have participated in the session that Jackson was leading. Let us appreciate Jackson again. Thank you so much. We have a few minutes to one, if I may say so. They may look many, but they are few. And I want to guide, because I want to keep my promise. We are holding our our DG somewhere so then he can come and be part of the closing ceremony. And so I want us to be brief. I want to invite our consultant, Dr. Edwin. I want to give Dr. Edwin only 10 minutes. He is making a presentation on the preliminary findings of our final evaluation process. And he's being assisted to set. And I know we are getting back to you, especially the advisory committee partners, because we need a validation workshop to validate the report. Today he has seen some of the government officials who are here. And so this is just the initial, but we'll have a discussion, we'll have a comprehensive discussion before the end of the day today, either before you leave or before the end of the day today. You'll get official communication from me on when we are meeting for the validation workshop as partners to look at the report, so then you can present on methodology, findings, and what have you, then you give him his comments. 10 minutes starts from now, Dr. Edwin.
Thank you so much for this opportunity to present the initial findings of the final independent evaluation of just a minute. Sorry for that technical hitch. We were just trying to set up so that I'm able to then present it. The machine I have here is not compatible with the connector here. Thank you so much. So once again, what you're presenting here is, these are basically the preliminary findings of the evaluation assignment that you're still carrying out. We've been able to meet many of the stakeholders from whom we've gathered very insightful information that has gone into developing this. And as Isaac has already mentioned, we are going to have a better session when we're going to present a more detailed version of the evaluation findings, when you'll have a better opportunity again to interrogate the findings and even have opportunities to input more into the findings. So basically what we sought to establish were, one, the relevance and strategic fit of this project. We were looking at the coherence, we were looking at the validity of the project design, we were looking at how effective it has been and the efficiency, especially in regard to resource use. We were looking at any orientation towards impact, and then we were looking at its sustainability. And from all that, we were tasked with the responsibility of then coming up with recommendations that would then inform a possible future upscale of the SIB or even expansion into other regions. So basically, I just want to speak to the effectiveness of the project in terms of what has been achieved so far. And in outcome one, we were able to establish that while the target was 1,500 decent job opportunities being provided by the private and public sector partners through the project, by the time we were carrying out this evaluation, just about 692 had already been realized. And about 597 graduates are already in self-employment from a target of 1,000. When we carried out a survey among some of the graduates, we established that up to 38% of them are still unemployed, 12% are in informal self-employment, 6% are in the informal sector, self-employed, but 44% of those that we reached were already in employment. So again, there might be a discrepancy if you look at this in terms of those that we are able to reach vis-a-vis what the project documents are reporting. There are already outcomes, the outputs that we're able to see from this particular objective include one, that the VTCs have already developed their strategic plans, they've done gap analysis, some of them have been equipped with relevant equipment, the trainees have been trained, trainers have been trained, industry experts have supported the program, and as a result of that, the county governments are today paying more attention to budgets and instructors and the equipment of vocational training centers because of the relationship that they've had with this project. Some of them were not able to do this before, but the project has now been able to, excite some of them to be able to pay more attention to some of these needs within the VTCs. Then through that partnership, we have had industrial attachments for the youth. Many of them are also finding employment in those industries, things that were not happening previously. And then some of the challenges are, for example, that even though there's a positive outlook in terms of renewed interest in the VTCs, there are still constraints related especially to limited financing. There are more youth who are interested in joining the VTCs, but the county governments may not have sufficient resources to finance this as they wish to. And then the dropout rate, especially for girls, is still high, of course, due to issues that are pertinent in these particular communities. And then some of the learners have not been able to participate effectively because some of them come from farm, they're not able to find accommodation in the areas where, for example, the VTCs are located or where they need to find internships and attachments. Then many of them lack post-graduation starter kits. They start off without this kind of kits, and then it means, therefore, that many of them will get the trainings, but after that, they have nothing to do. They are not able to get self-employed. There is no capital to start their own businesses, and neither do they have sufficient capital for the startup kits. So if the program would consider this in future, then this would be a plus. In outcome 2, based on the indicator, the first indicator was number of new sustainable enterprises that are set up 12 months. We saw that while the target was only 150, up to 608 have been achieved. Then the next one was the percentage of trained enterprises with improved business practices. The target was 60, the project reports 55%. Then the number of jobs, including the green jobs that are created from trained enterprises, the target was 1,500, and just about 608 has been achieved. Then, of course, new businesses have been opened up, especially in the tourism sector, the livestock sector, the manufacturing sector, including also agribusiness and construction sector. But some of the participants were not able to confirm, for example, how vibrant how the extent to which they could attribute the vibrancy of their businesses currently to the impact, to the efforts of the project. Then a large proportion of what the project was doing was more around design processes, but it did not pay a lot of attention to ensuring that the beneficiaries are well grounded to be able to utilize those skills, either, especially entrepreneurship. That was the target for outcome 2. Now, because of that, a small proportion of the entrepreneurs have, only a small proportion have been able to comfortably set up entrepreneurship or self-employment. Looking at indicators for that outcome, the first one was number of actions implemented in the community action plans. The target was 60%. We've seen that up to 74.4% has been achieved, and that is how it is across the board for different indicators for that particular outcome. For outcome 3, which is about improved community participation in lobbying for increased access to public and social services, we are able to establish, for example, that communities have been able now to respond better to public participation activities, especially those that are initiated by the county governments. For example, more women now are empowered, and especially because they received adult literacy support, they are now more confident, even as entrepreneurs. Many are taking up leadership positions, and more are able to engage the county governments because of that confidence that they've now gained. There is also better access to water, health, and other social amenities at the community level, as reported in some of the focus group discussions, though we realized again that this was still a challenge in some pockets of the different communities. Like I've mentioned earlier, the adult literacy program has been a game changer, especially for women, many of who could not communicate even on phone. They are now better able to utilize these gadgets. In terms of orientation to impact, we're able to report currently, especially for the women and youth who have set up businesses or in entrepreneurship, we are seeing that many of them are now realizing better profits in their businesses. Of course, because of the support that they receive from the program in different aspects. They're better able to plan their businesses, they're better able to budget, they're better able to calculate their profits, etc. So that while more were, for example, if you look at those who are earning in terms of profits below 10,000 shillings before, up to 33% earned below 10,000. But afterwards, we see that only 28%. And again, while there were very few or none who made profits of up to 50,000, some of them are now reporting, up to 66% are reporting these levels of profits. Of course, these are based on a very small number of those who are carrying out some of those bigger businesses, especially those who are selling livestock. In terms of recommendation, we recommend that there be set up, for example, a business incubation sort of arrangement where the VTC graduates can probably refresh their skills. There can be some value chain development through the business incubation centers. Business financing can be gained through that. And even setup kits can be arranged through the business incubation setups. And then we realize again that the element of gender inclusivity is still a challenge in certain elements of the program, and therefore we recommend that there should be some very significant or some intensified community mobilization advocacy, especially at the local level, so that more engagement is made with the members of the community, so that different elements about gender inequality can be better and further addressed. In terms of being oriented towards sustainability, yes, the program has some inbuilt strategies towards ensuring it will be sustainable. For example, the idea of working together with the VTCs, the working together with the government. Government, for example, feel that they strongly own this project, so that they will be able to even take it up on their own without continued support from external quarters. Besides that, there's now are well-skilled community advocacy champions who are trained through the program, and they'll be able to continue doing that. And there are also the public participation forums that were initiated through this project will be able to continue even beyond the project. And sorry, I think that there's a mix-up there. I was discussing the sustainability when I was still talking about the recommendations. Sorry. The other recommendation is that there should be an extensive inception phase for future programs of this nature, so that the designing phase should be as involving as possible of all the different stakeholders who are involved in the program, so that the program can be better shaped when more of the stakeholders are involved from the very beginning, so that they all have a very clear understanding of what the project is about. And before that, there should have been, there should be a more comprehensive stakeholder analysis, so that the trades or the sectors that would then be included for skills development and ultimate job creation would be then wider than just those around the geothermal sector from the very beginning. Then future programs should focus more resources towards equipping the VTCs with hardware, as opposed to merely capacity building the trainers through capacity building them through trainings. Because what came out again is that the county governments were more excited to work with this project, especially when and where equipments were provided. Like a case in point is in Narok, where they received only 16 sewing machines, and that was quite exciting to the county government. The other recommendation is that the PSC, the project steering committee, should be made a more effective cog in the implementation, so that it plays a better role than it's currently playing. The players there should be able to better understand their roles and responsibilities, and then the committee should be allowed more space to make their own independent decisions that then help them better advise the project. Then the partners' obligations should be monitored more, so that every partner would be seen to be retaining fidelity to their commitments. There's some partners who may have made commitments to the project, but because there's probably no regular and continuous monitoring and follow-up, they were not able to deliver on this in time. Thank you.
Thank you, Daktari. I will not also allow him to respond to any questions because we have a validation workshop. Let us appreciate Daktari once again. So as he takes his seat, I will consult him, and I've seen Dr. Margaret somewhere. Oh yeah. Dr. Margaret is also there. She's working with Dr. Edwin. What I'm happy is that Dr. Edwin has just reinforced the discussions that we had yesterday and the report that we presented to you. The greater thing is actually in terms of the income levels and how the businesses are transforming. But I am happy also he has made some recommendations which we will look into and adopt them as the project team. Happy also that he has mentioned about the inception period. And it resonates, Daktari, you are not here when the embassy were making their presentation, and you've mentioned about the inception period. They also mentioned that was also a challenge and is an issue that we need to discuss and look into. Colleagues, friends, thank you so much. We are almost coming to the end of the forum. And because I cannot see Director Kimemia, who was supposed to take us through the session on emerging issues and what we have discussed, allow me to request our rapporteurs to come and make key highlights. Just highlight to us the discussion that we had yesterday, what are the key findings, or Director is here, my advisory chair. As they make the highlights, because the director was not here, I will be briefing him and consulting with him, so then we can start. We have jumped the session on future PPDP next steps because we discussed that and the embassy pronounced itself clear on that yesterday. our Secretary General also made some recommendation yesterday, and I know in her closing remarks she will also add some more insights into it. Jelas Chirove, who is representing our director, and also he's been supporting us technically. I'm sure you'll also make other remarks on the same. So we will not do the session on what next on the PPDP. They are the ones who will address that at that level. So as our partnership advisory chair takes his seat, because I want to brief him before he addresses us, kindly I want to request our able rapporteurs to come and just give us highlights of yesterday, basically what are our actionable points, what we need to do after this. And over to you, our great sisters. They are youthful, and I know they normally take care of time. So let me put them on the spot. Let us appreciate them when they come.
All protocols observed. Good afternoon. Good afternoon once more. My name is Rachel Juma from Forum Civ, and I am going to begin taking you through the objectives of this knowledge sharing forum, together with some of the challenges that have been highlighted, the lessons learned, and what can be implemented in the next phase, and what, of course, we can do differently. So, allow me to begin by reminding you the objectives of this forum. So there are three main objectives. One is to take stock of the PPDP model during this phase. That is the origin, success, challenges, lessons of the implementation of inclusive growth through decent work in the Great Rift Valley project. Two is to share knowledge among nation, county governments, the private sector, civil society, development partners, vocational training institutions on approaches, strategies related to the public-private development partnerships. Third is to facilitate dialogues among partners, government representatives for the development of national programs that adopt the public-private development partnership model. So during this knowledge sharing forum, we are humbled to have and privileged to have the participation and support from Forum Civ, ILO, the Embassy of Sweden, the Government of Kenya ministries, departments, agencies, the county government of Nakuru and Narok, and our partners and CSOs in Narok and Nakuru counties. It is worth noting that the huge gratitude has been felt with all sectors in receiving funds from the government of Sweden in technical support and partnership with Forum Civ and ILO, who have extended support to the two counties, that is Narok and Nakuru, in technical training institutions, business development, the job market, and service provision. PPDP has seen the expanding market within the community, local-based organizations. It has also brought everyone on board, the youth, especially the young girls, who have managed to get jobs and being included in the formal sector. It is also worth mentioning that FGM cases have also reduced within Narok County. So some of the highlighted challenges during implementation of the PPD project include doing things the traditional way. It has taken time to also establish partnerships and involve parties so that we can have trusting relationships among ourselves, and also the capacity of PPDP, which was low since they had limited resources. Despite having these various challenges, there are also opportunities that presented themselves along this, that include stronger ownership of the projects by the community members, more opportunities for sustainability, new opportunities for programs, changing the status quo, and some traditional ways of doing things, and creating room for more dialogue, which in the long run created new opportunities. To add on that, COVID pandemic also, the challenge presented itself with the opportunity of providing decent jobs where washable face masks were made. the lessons learned, partnership benefits and impacts need to be more visible and early to inspire commitment. Involving a multitude of stakeholders is essential for understanding commitment and ownership of the PPDP. Like in the case where Wendo from Dandelion Africa talked about collaboration that her organization has had with the county health department of Kajiado with their container hospital that is serving members of Kajiado County. We also need to understand the needs of partners quite early. This is essential. It is worth noting that the private sector was also encouraged to continue to consolidate funds, to bring them, to unite them so that we can be able to amplify the training of workers and as beneficiaries. It is also encouraging to see the government representatives in attendance, as it is encouraging to get their support physically, for them to support us, listen to us, and also work together. And I can say that PPDP has made great milestones because, as you have seen from the presentations yesterday, today, that the set targets were surpassed, right? Do you agree with me? Were you following? So I will pose one question that was not answered by one of our members yesterday, is how can we onboard partners in signing of our MOUs? As I continue to brief you, these are some of what we can implement in the next phase. In this knowledge and sharing forum, it is important to ask ourselves, how can we upscale the findings and learnings from this project to include environment and climate change perspectives? Number two, how can we ensure the skilled labor and dialogues could be used in understanding of green perspective and climate change, natural resource degradation? The carbon credit should be a key aspect of project implementation. It is also important to ensure that social conditions such as gender equality, presence, men, women, youth, the old incapabilities should be in use in these innovative programs. The two different communities in Narok and Nakuru have also worked together through these programs in these areas which are so rich of wildlife, natural species, and resources. Hence, worth thinking about green energy conservation, because how else do we maintain this green environment? How do we support creation of decent jobs, togetherness in this project, to be able to see through innovation and that innovation continues? We need to urgently talk about sustainability. In conclusion, it is important to note that sustainable change is the goal that we all want to achieve, and it can only be achieved if everyone owns it, especially the affected communities. As I wind up, what do we need to do differently? So one, we need to bring the voices of grassroots in these tables so that we can be realistic in addressing their needs. We need to have more forums like this where the civil society blends with like-minded individuals to share and learn from each other. We need to have a changed mindset, especially in education, trainings, and set our priorities right. We need to be keen where we're taking our funds. We need to embrace vocational training colleges and careers. We need to have more money trickling down to the grassroots levels. A lot of civil education needs to be done so that we know where taxes go and do taxes work for us. Sustainability with the PPDP, because, well, PPDP won't last forever. That was made very clear. So the government also needs to create a roadmap for sustainability with the resources and funds available. We need to encourage employers to open up to more trainings to youth, passing through VCTs. This will build confidence to start jobs, to get jobs, and to be self-employed for the youths. Exchange programs should be embraced so that different minds can be on the same table and we can learn from one another. Career awareness is something that needs to begin early in one's life. We should include career mentorship also in school so early that the youth are driven towards a career. Finally, we need to have lifeguards that will motivate our young mothers who drop out of school to pick up on their dreams. Well, I would like to thank my able team, Gloria, and I would, because we have worked on this document today and it is very conclusive. And I shall finally conclude by quoting two great MCs today. I will begin with Isaac Kiema, who mentioned leadership transforms attitude, and this has been evident within this partnership. The last one is Titus Kuria, who told us something about NATO. No action, talk only. That we should not do. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. Let us appreciate Rachel, Gloria, and also the support they were given by Felix, who is also working with the team. They have done a great job. I am happy. I have identified myself with what Rachel has presented to us, and this will inform the report that we write and circulate to all of you. I want to request our chair, Partnership Advisory Committee, because this is basically the technical team, and this is where his mandate is. Kindly, Director Bikami, so then he can make a few remarks. Actually, I wanted them to present before he comes, because they actually supposed to assist him in what is to address to us. Then from there, now we get to the closing of our workshop. DG Koech is with us, so we are also waiting for our DG. DG Koech is with us. We are waiting for our DG from Nakuru County. Once he comes, then now we get to the official closure of the workshop. Karibu sana, Director.
Asanteni. So, based on the theory I told you yesterday, good morning. It's a school of thought, eh? Okay. So as I said, I'm Kimemia Josephat. I'm the person in charge of I'm the co-chair, or we co-chair with my brother, Ruto from Narok, the Partnership Advisory Committee that advises the steering committee and the secretariat on what needs to be done. I'm one of the happy faces around, because if we have to go by history, as far as the Ppdp is concerned, I'm also one of the oldest. Having walked this journey from the year 2016 to date. So I carry a lot of memories, institutional memories. I carry a lot of testimonies. And I think that's why Isaac never drops me. Anyway, I've been given a mandate which I have been largely been assisted by my sister Rachel and team to come up with a way forward on emerging issues, recommendations about the implementation of the PPDP, scope of collaboration, and the next steps or plans of action. And I can see I was only given some 15 minutes to do that. And because Rachel has really, and team have really assisted me on we need to do so many things, then I think what I would engage this plenary on is how do we do it. I think she has clearly elaborated. We need to do this, we need to do this. Then when we say we, sometimes everyone's job becomes no one's job, responsibility. Are you aware about that? So we need to just zero in. I know, like Isaac and team have always told us, we are coming to the end of the extension of the first phase. So if we have to come up to the next steps, then what is coming out clearly is that both Nakuru County and Narok County need to do an MOU as an immediate step. So do we agree that is the way to go? Because everything that we do must be anchored on a document. Otherwise, it might remain as a wish. So we give ourselves up to when? Between now, the program comes to an end of June. Yes. So we need to have drafted and finalized the MOU between then, and we task Isaac and team to do that. Then another issue that I'm picking away from what Rachel has already demonstrated is we need to come up with an exchange program. Yesterday it was very clear, an offer was made, and I think these are issues we need to take seriously. The counties that are here, I know their budgets, the financial year is also coming to an end. At the same time, the project is coming to an end. We need to agree here whether to implement the exchange program between Kenya and Sweden within the lifespan, the remaining less than 60 days, or during the second phase. We need to agree through consensus before or after. Hello. I thought this must be could have been a very exciting topic. I'm bringing on board. Before or after? By a show of hands, after. That means in our second phase. By a show of hands? Hey, okay. Before the end of the extension. Okay. So Isaac noted. So we leave the person in charge to make sure that we have the modalities done as a way forward, as a next step, to the advisory committee and the secretariat. Is that okay? Then on issues to do with more information sharing, because that's also an emerging issue, issues to do with information sharing, we need more structured dialogue. That has come out so clearly. So what do we need to do? No, mine was not a presentation, it's dialogue. I'm actually moderating, so it's me and you. It's very clear even in your programs. So you are the ones to tell me, what do we need to do on information sharing, more dialogue, more structured dialogue? What do we need to do? Or isn't it an issue? It is. Oh, there is a hand there. Is there a mic? Somebody with a mic?
My proposal for that will be to consider having the same session we had on our experiences, challenges, opportunities for PPDP. That session, we need to have one with the community at the community. So the session we had here with CSOs and communities, we felt like it was more CSO speaking, even the language. When we speak English, for example, and we're trying to coordinate, the chair is a CSO member, then we're not having the voices of the community. So it would be good to hear from the community for that increased dialogue, to hear from them how did this PPDP model work for them, what are the opportunities they see, what are the experiences they had, what are the generally, just that conversation done at the community to increase dialogue and ensure that they are also involved in that conversation.
When?
What did you say?
When? When should that be achieved? Because we're on the way forward.
I will be the wrong person to say when.
Recommend, just recommend. You ask us to recommend.
There is a recommendation on this side.
Yes, maybe a recommendation on what Chelimo has said. That dialogue with the community needs to happen before the second phase so that we can borrow whatever I said and the best practices to be implemented in the second phase.
Okay, we are in agreement? Yes, we leave that to the PAC and the Secretariat to take action. Then, as far as the other presentation was concerned, we need to have a last mile on FGM. And I know these are our DG from Narok. This is an issue that we really need to make sure that we get to the last mile on FGM. Any recommendations on what we need to do? McHugh, I had only 15 minutes and I'm already done with 10 minutes. Is there a hard somewhere? Okay, Mike.
Thank you. Just before that question, on the one on sharing information, another proposal is to document these stories from the partners so that it's available on video and audio and can be shared across the board.
Okay. I'm sure we have a lot of documentation from the community on sharing the stories. But for,
Chair. Yes, Chair, we have quite a number. We have quite a lot of documentation that has been done, and one of the resolutions that we had agreed upon as the project team is also we'll do a publication for the PPDP. In probably the next 3 months, it will be done before we start the new phase. And Chair, also to advise you, most of the issues that you are raising during the group work, people agreed on those issues and when they will be done. Yes. One, we have a limitation in terms of making a decision on when, because they might spill over to phase 2. So I can humbly request that you give us opportunity as the project team, so then we can work on them and present them to the advisory for further guidance and also for approval. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. So I think we have gotten a clear way forward. We may not be able to do so much within the remaining less than 60 days, but again, thanks for the assurance that there is a second phase. Are we assured about that? Yes. The second phase is coming, and then we will develop a work plan for the same and ensure that it's implemented. And I hope in the same spirit, and as we develop work plans and action plans for the second phase, we must ensure that no one is left behind. Is that okay? Yes. So for now, I think what we need to emphasize is that there is an prepared for the second phase, and anything that requires to be done between now and the second phase, which includes the signing of the MOU by the 2 counties, the renewing of the contract, the commitment letters. We need to do it, and that will be done. So with that, I think my 15 minutes are over, and I thank you once again for giving me that opportunity to be your PSC chair for the last 5 years. Yes, and I'm humbled. Thanks so much, and God bless you.
Thank you, Chair. Let us appreciate Director Kimemia. Check. Yes, our commitment is that the recommendations, the opportunities identified, the guidance that was provided to us will be taken into consideration when we are designing phase 2. Just to mention that phase 2 is under discussion, not finalized, but based on what we were told yesterday, we'll also give you official communication through Jealous and Jackson on the phase 2 once we conclude discussions with the donor. We have now come to the end of the presentations. Allow me now to prepare as we move to the closing session of our knowledge sharing forum. And the first person that I want to kindly request to come and speak to us is our Secretary General Forum Civ, that is Anne. And I am requesting that we get this pulpit here, just in case we need to use it. Yep.
Great. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. And I learned we should say twice if the response is not high enough, so good afternoon, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen and distinguished guests, this has been such great 2 days, hasn't it? Yes, we have been sharing experiences, and as I said in my first speech yesterday, I'm here to represent Forum Civ, but most of all to listen and learn. And I have been writing, and I have lots of things to bring home with me now. And you have been so also generous in your sharing. And there has been so many good thoughts, good ideas, and you have been also very transparent and honest, and I do appreciate that. And I'm also hoping to take part of those notes that you made, because you had it all written down so very nicely there as well in your summary. That was very good as well, so thank you for that. And we have had all these photos and films and everything we can share afterwards as well. So, what do we bring with us from these 2 days? We have had also these conversations between the different sessions, right? When we have had the opportunity to speak to each other. And that's something that's also very valuable. We have the program and we listen and learn, but also all these chats we have in between the sessions. We have been taking part of the experiences, the lessons learned. That sustainability is very important, both when planning the programs, so you're able to tap on to different structures that are already there. So the programs and the results live on after the program has left. And also with this working in silos is not a very good idea, is it? We need to work together, and that's also been very, very clear during these 2 days. In the sharing groups we had, I was taking part in the one with the communities and civil societies, and that was also very interesting to hear everything there. And one person said in that session, the very good thing with this is now that we come together, all sectors, towards one common goal. There is no hidden agenda, there is transparency. And I think that's also very good. There's also transparency and there's also ownership. And for it to be ownership, we really need to plan for it from the beginning. That was also lessons learned there. I think there was a water project that perhaps didn't go so well because it didn't end up with the ownership you wanted to have from the beginning. And also to see those lessons learned. The community needs to own the project, needs to own the change. So now, as I also said to you yesterday, I'm going home now, and quite a lot of my work is to take part in different kind of meetings. And I have the annual meeting for Forum Civ Saturday already. Let's hope my flight will not be delayed, so I will be there. And I will talk to them already. I will show them pictures from these sessions. I will talk to them about Ppdp, because this is not only something that is needed here in Kenya. We need this in all of our projects. And we also need to have the green thought in everything that we do. We heard the professor, we heard Jackson speak about this. Everything we do, is this sustainable? Do we have a green mind when planning things? This is also something I will remind all my colleagues about. And next week, I also hopefully have a meeting with our member organizations together with the State Secretary for Development Aid. And I will also share with her. And I will share the experiences, I will show pictures, and I will tell her how amazing work has been done here, and the progress you made. And partnership is the way to move forward. Thank you so much for inviting me to this session, and good luck with the rest of your invaluable work. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Anne. Such a great honor to have you travel or fly all the way from Stockholm and to come to be with us. We sincerely appreciate. Let us appreciate our Secretary General once again. Thank you so much. Next to speak to us is our own, who has been also in the machine, in the engine of the implementation of this project, who has also been in the inception, the discussion, the conceptualization, has gone through all the tough and good times. Jelas Chirobe, who is representing the ILO director. Karibu JC.
Good afternoon. I don't have a long speech because I think people are a little bit tired and want to travel. This is just to thank all of you for coming, really sincere. I know you have been thanked and you will be thanked, but we really appreciate you came, and we know that you were representing many behind you. You came here as a partner. but representing many people that maybe remained behind and whose voices we take and got from your inputs. It was very important that we met in this manner. And when I say all of you, I mean in your groups, private sector partners, public sector partners, Ikwemo, our county governments, and also the civil society partners, and everyone who managed to come and share the knowledge. I think the objectives were mentioned. I think they were achieved in these 1.5 days. I won't repeat on that. And so ours is just to appreciate. And I think the kind of promising news of phase 2 that we have is also one message that we can carry back. What I want to say regarding that is that, as Isaac has mentioned, this is something that we are discussing. Even on Friday this week, or the day after tomorrow, there's a meeting with the embassy planned to perhaps get the final comments from their side on the proposals that we have made, and that have also been influenced by this discussion that we have had here. It is also correct to say that there are a number of things that will change in phase 2, based on the experiences that we have shared here, based on what has worked, based on some of the lessons. Some things will change. I think we're getting feedback from this group. Also suggestions that came from the groups, the 3 groups, but also individually from important colleagues, our county governments, our chairs of the advisory committees, and so on. Also from CEDA, their inputs which they mentioned yesterday, and also the outcome document which is being prepared, which has also some recommendations that we need to consider. So, in addition to that, the evaluation, which Isaac, we need to, I don't know, you talk about the validation meeting. That one is important because ideally, those recommendations are supposed to guide how we structure phase 2. So when the validation meeting is needed, especially for the advisory committee, because they need to get it, digest, and we reflect and agree on what it means for phase 2. So that one should happen as soon as possible to finalize that, and including making sure that of course we don't change the views of the evaluator. They are independent, they operate independently, but at least the statistics, we need to harmonize the numbers to make sure that they reflect the facts in terms of what is in the project document, what was planned, and so on. So that one should happen as soon as possible, and we need to find a time when we can do the validation meeting so that we pass the evaluation report. I mean, so that the evaluator finalizes the evaluation, and then we use it, and we look at the recommendations, and we look at the main findings. That is very, 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 very important. So these are my few remarks. Sir Janice, when you go, as ILO, we are humbled that you honored our invitation and opportunity to really reflect on this PPDP journey. And we hope that we can have more of such going forward, certainly when phase 2 starts. Thank you very much, Isaac, and everyone, for your time.
Thank you so much, JC. Let us appreciate him. He's really been supportive. I can write a book about the support that JC gave us since the inception of the project up to today, and the commitment that he has to this. Excellency DG Koech, allow me now to request Brother Benson, the Deputy Secretary General of KOTU, to come and make remarks on behalf of our social partners, Ministry of Labor, Federation of Kenya Employers, and also KOTU. Karibu sana, Brother Benson.
I can confirm that Isaac like ambushing me, but because we are social partners, at least I'll make an attempt to talk on their behalf. But otherwise, from where we sit as COTU, I think I'm very grateful for the organizers of this forum. Like I said yesterday, Ppdp is where to go. I think it's a very important aspect. And I think we encourage you, particularly you people who are sponsoring us, we're encouraging you to come along with us. Even if you have to go to the second and third phase, please, if the funds are there, kindly assist this country, and particularly in the issue of development of skills. I'm still very, very concerned about that, because earlier on, most of us thought that advancing ourselves to university degrees, masters and PhDs were more important. I'm not trying to downplay the importance of education, but I'm just trying to say that we omitted that element of skill development in this country. And we need to go back to that and address it very well. I don't want to speak on behalf of others, our other social partners, but I do know that from where we stand, we have worked very well with the Federation of Kenya Employers. We have worked very well with the Ministry of Labor. And I must say that our working together has really developed this country in terms of pushing up the issues of industrial disputes in this country, the issues of even increased productivity in this country. We worked very well. So I saw the Labour Commission around here. I don't know where she left, but I think I'll share the information with them, and hopefully when the second phase starts, we'll probably be able to team up together and work together. For now, I think that should be all. I didn't prepare anything to say. He likes ambushing me, but I think at least the little that I have, I think I've shared. And I must wish you a safe journey back to Sweden. And the rest of us who are traveling internally, please have safe journey masses, and maybe we meet again in the second phase. Thank you so much, Isaac, for giving me this forum.
Thank you so much, Katibu. We started with him, the launch back 2018, so he's been part of the process. And he's my senior and my father in areas of social dialogue. I worked with him when I was working with the Federation of Kenya Employers. So that's why we have a good relationship with him. Excellency, allow me to now welcome the County Secretary for our great county, Nakuru County, Dr. Samuel Maura, to come and address us on behalf of DG Nakuru. Karibu sana Mheshimiwa.
Thank you for the chance, Your Excellency the DG, SG, the other SG, colleagues, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So I want to start by thanking the organizers of this forum for choosing Nakuru County. We don't take it for granted. You have created employment in Nakuru County, you have brought awareness in Nakuru County, and therefore we want to thank the organizers. But more specific about the discussions that have happened for the last 2 days, I want to say that even as Nakuru County, we have sat for like 1 hour, we have done our own analysis, we have evaluated ourselves, the journey that has been there for 5 years, and we believe we can do better in the next project. And therefore, the discussion we have had out there, if somebody was looking from outside, it was very honest. So somebody has spoken to that, the dialogue has been very honest here. It is an indication that we want to move forward. The only reason government exists is to push development and service delivery to the people of Kenya, to the people of their country. And therefore, the only reason we exist as governments, the 48 of us, is to be able to provide service delivery. And therefore, when we have such forums to talk about how we can improve, how we can do better, how we can utilize the resources we are getting from development partners, I think it is a good step in the right direction. However, our experience in Nakuru is that we can do better because development partners will not be here forever, and therefore it is through better coordination, building our skills, by implementing these activities and being very impactful to the money that we get and the resources, so that there's continuity in service delivery. So I want to thank all the development partners, both from the private sector, and the partners both from the private sector and development partners, for being with us, for walking the journey with us, because it's not your job to do what you are doing, it is our job. You are coming to help us do our job. And therefore, as Nakuru County will make a commitment that when phase 2 comes, we'll be very responsive, we'll make sure that we are very impactful, so that we push that one coin we have been given, we do more than we were able to do before. That's a commitment we'll make in this forum, and going forward we'll be more responsive. The other thing I want to speak to is that, and I'm not flattering the development partners who are there, we have looked, and Kimemi has been very instrumental. You have been the most responsive partner, some of the most responsive partners, in terms of that our needs, you're able to respond fast. You're able to declare your resource envelope. You have been aligning your activities with our priorities, and we cannot take that for granted. So we want to thank you for that, and as we plan the next phase, we want to ask you to continue being that way. As you plan the activities, let's work together. Let's be able to implement the priorities of Wanjiku. Wanjiku is the citizens of our country. Let's be able to implement better by working together. So I want to thank you for the partnership. So for the private sector partners who are here, again, we want to thank you, because you're also playing a big role in our society. You're creating employment and all that. And therefore, we want to continue working with us, continue creating that employment, because it's a responsibility that we have as government. And you're also coming to supplement. I want to, for example, give an example of those people who are running some factories around. You have employed a lot of people. Of course, there are challenges, and challenges will always be there. But when we come around, kindly be responsive to us again, so that we walk the journey together. We jointly walk the journey together. If there are any issues that need to be addressed, we address them, so that we make our society and our country a success. This country of ours called Kenya, you have one very unique problem today. We have a crisis of money, because for whatever the reasons we are here. We have a crisis of employees want more money through, obviously the cost of living has gone very high since COVID, and everybody is asking for more money, and the money that is not there. And therefore it's an appeal, even now, to my colleague in public service. Let's do extra, let's work more than we are required to do. Let's not ask for more money to work for 8 hours. Let's work for 12 hours with the same money, so that we improve our country, and now we can ask for more money tomorrow. Because where we are as a country, if we continue in the same direction of just asking for money, the country is going to collapse. And therefore, I also want to thank civil servants who are here. You have been very dedicated. You have worked in very difficult conditions, because the conditions are not easy currently in public service. Therefore, I want to ask you and encourage you to continue working, continue putting more effort, so that we can move our country forward. So to Team Narok, led by the Deputy Governor, thank you for coming, and as you go back, safe journey. Say hi to our brothers from Narok and tell them Nakuru tuko sawa. So to all of you, as you go back home, safe journey, say hi to your people, and God bless you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Let us appreciate our county sec in a better way. Great. Thank you so much. Daktari, we sincerely appreciate even your sentiments. I can assure you, even as we have done our self-reflection, and one of the things that we are saying is that we need to highly involve the office of the county secs from the 2 county governments as a coordinating body in terms of centralization of information, and we have our lessons learned, and through the partnership advisory committee and also the steering committee representatives whom we have here, we will engage accordingly, and we rely on your able guidance, so then we can do what you need us to do. It's us to serve you, but not you to serve us. Thank you so much. We sincerely appreciate. Now it's my honor to welcome our Deputy Governor, His Excellency Koech, the Deputy Governor of the County Government of Narok, to make his remarks and officially close this forum for us. Then after that, I will ask Elias to come. We do vote of thanks. And I will ask Elias to be accompanied by all the Forum Civ and ILO, Ppdp, and other staff, so then we can appreciate all of you in the presence of our colleagues. Over to you.
Thank you, my brother, Isaac. All protocol observed. Good morning, rather good afternoon. I'm very aware that you are very tired. You've been here for 2 days. But all in all is not lost. We've discussed a lot. We've learned a lot, and both the county government of Nakuru and the county government of Narok actually appreciate this. Those who started this idea, actually the implementation is just amazing. It's okay, and we appreciate it. I must appreciate, or rather acknowledge, all the partners who came up, or rather who joined their hands to make this thing a success. Starting with International Labour Organization, that we abbreviate as ILO, the Forum Civ, the Federation Kenya Employers, the Kenyan team, go to Kenya, the Swedish government, the Narok County government and Nakuru County government, the national government, Ministry of Education, and Ministry of Labour, all the participants, the CSOs and the communities, private sectors. We've had the stories, those that work and those that did not work, the global experiences. And thank you, my good friend Titus and Isaac. I don't know, I can't see Titus here, but thank you. Where is he? Oh, wait. I think yesterday you were, what took you from here to the other side? You have to maintain your position. It's just like me becoming an MCA and I was already a deputy governor. I don't know, these people struggle to mention my name, but my correct pronunciation is Tamalinye Koech. But this team were able to pronounce it. I don't know the problem we have with our black guys. They don't know how to pronounce our names. But that is the only name in East Africa. It is the only name in the world. It is the only name. After all, we go to where? In the whole world. That is it. Thank you so much, Titus. I spoke with the governor of Narok, and he's very happy that this thing has happened, and this thing is assisting our people. And for us, we employ the people to write us a speech. If we don't read, then somebody will lose a job. So we must read. And you know, anything that I'm saying is monitored, either worldwide, or in Narok, or in Kenya. So I must read what I have here. You know, we are dealing with many things. Inaweza kuja niongee maneno ya county na niko hapa, najua we understand these things. Provision of quality skills is important in the creation of decent jobs, and I'm happy that KOTU is here represented by my brother, Benson Okwayo, who supported decent jobs for all workers. We are in the bottom-up economic development regime, and I'm happy that this project was designed with a bottom-up model in mind. We have seen how this project has benefited the local community, and we need to scale up so that more people can benefit. In fact, I saw the voices of my great people from Narok. I saw my father, an old woman, speaking fluent Kiswahili and English. It was very amazing, and I'm happy. I saw those are good things that we must see. One key issue which needs to be taken up is to ensure proper handover of donor-funded projects during transition from one government to another, to ensure that there is continuity. This should be factored in all other projects going forward. As Narok County, we appreciate the importance of continuous knowledge sharing platforms to ensure that the positives in such projects are shared regularly, to ensure that where changes need to be done, This is done very early in a project. In Narok County, our government has taken the learning in vocational training center very serious, and we have committed to meet 40% of tuition fees for all students starting this financial year. This is to ensure that no student will drop out for lack of school fees. Narok County has used knowledge gained in this project to implement similar engagement with other companies. For example, we have started discussion with sugar companies in Transmara on how to start programs for the local youth so that they can get employment in sugar companies. Narok County takes the issue of environment conservation very serious and is committed to ensure cleaning of jobs operation. We want to create jobs that protect our environment. Narok County has taken the issue of early pregnancies very seriously, and so far we have held talks with all the ACCs, DCCs, chiefs, assistant chiefs, and all our ward administrators to ensure that this issue is addressed. We are committed to reduce these incidences. In Narok, we are focused to ensure energy efficient, and recently we launched our county energy plan that we are now planning on the implementation of the energy plan in the entire county. We thank ILO, Forum Civ, and other partners for your support in this project. Thank you for doing our work as government. You are helping us where we are not in a position to reach. With those few remarks, it is now my honor and duty to declare the Knowledge Sharing Forum officially closed, and may God bless it in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, DG. Thank you so much, DG. We sincerely appreciate your support. If there's something that I'm proud of this time, Elias now should be coming, is that the two county governments have consistently demonstrated their seriousness on this. When DG for Nakuru left, he made sure that there's someone else who comes, and that's why we have our county secretary. My senior DG Narok, we assure you that, yes, I'm talking to you. Thank you so much. My senior in this work, and I've worked with the Chief of Staff when he was in the Ministry of Labor. I want to sincerely appreciate also your support, and Waziri Zipora. The two of you have made it happen for us to have the highest offices to be with us, and we sincerely appreciate. Let us clap for them. DG and County Sec, on behalf of DG Nakuru, we assure you of our support. You've given us your commitment, and all the partners on behalf of the PPDP partners, both public and private sector partners, community and the civil society who are here, we will engage accordingly. But like I said, us, we are here to serve you, but not you to serve us. And so a lot of dialogue has to happen, and I commit to that. So as Elias gives vote of thanks, I kindly request all the staff to be walking to where I am, so then we can appreciate our team. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Isaac. I'm still waiting the staff to walk on the pulpit. So, honorable members from the national and the county government, our most valued invited partners and guests, good afternoon. I know it's still morning. They said, if you have not heard, it's still morning. But good afternoon. Yes, so it's my privilege to stand before you today on this memorable day, as we look back on the 5 years that PPDP has been transforming lives in Nakuru and Narok counties. On behalf of ILO, Forum Civ, and the entire PPDP fraternity, I would like to extend my very hearty thank you to all partners for gracing and sharing on this important day. For the 2 days we have had, it has been very successful because of your response. I would like to take this moment to thank your excellencies from county governments of Nakuru and Narok for your speeches. They have been very insightful, and they have illustrated the important role the PPDP model has played in catalyzing inclusive growth through decent work in the program area. I would also like to express our gratitude to the honorable guests from the Labour Commission, from the Ministry of Labour for gracing this occasion and contributing this important discussion on the important role that partnership can play in reducing and alleviating poverty. I must also mention our deep sense of appreciation for speakers from various private sectors who made it and shared their thoughts during this occasion. We are very much grateful. We are grateful as well to the panelists who, with their diverse experience and opinion, have demonstrated and given us valuable insights on how we can catalyze further the public-private partnership. We are very grateful. Finally, I would like to take this opportunity to place on record our hearty thanks to the service providers who, with their role, have contributed immensely in contributing to the success of this event. Not forgetting to thank the most attentive and quiet participant in the audience, rapporteurs. They have documented this event and will be glad to share once they finalize the reporting. Well, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, an event like this cannot happen overnight. The wheels started rolling many weeks ago. It requires planning and a bird's eye for details. And this is because of the team standing before you. We are very grateful because the team that you see here, they have been backed by motivated personalities, dedication from both ILO and Forum Civ, who know their job and are result-oriented, and this can be seen in the success of this event. I cannot thank you enough for your involvement and willingness to take the completion of tasks beyond your comfort zone. Very grateful for that. I want to state that we are all most grateful to all of you. We thank you for being with us and remaining intact until the last day. It has been a great pleasure, and very much thank you to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Elias. So I want to request that the team stands in front here. My colleagues. Make sure there's no one standing behind the other one. Yes, Your Excellency, I wanted to personally thank this team, sincerely thank my colleagues. I am not who I am without them. Actually, this is their work. And I want, on behalf of myself and me and I, to humbly request you, the audience, to clap for this team. Thank you so much. Of course, we have the fathers who are not standing with us, like Jackson, who has been very supportive, leading us, advising us, cautioning us, guiding us, being with us, and also jealous, and the responsibility given to me to support them. So as I finalize, I want to request my Master of Ceremony, DG. I was being accused, it's like I have conspired with you to bring Titus on the spot, but let Titus say a word and then now we conclude.
Thank you. Most humble, I just want to mention that besides the PPDP team, we also have our colleagues in other programs within Forum Civ who have been very supportive in, actually the rapporteurs are not attached to this PPDP project, but they offered to give their services, and we have a program manager there on one of our other programs, our finance manager, so it really speaks to what Elias said, that it takes more than what you can see here to deliver a successful event. So thank you very much. And back to you, Isaac. And DG, thank you for giving me instructions to move to belong.
Thank you so much. Announcements, number one is that we have exhibitors and they are requesting that we can pass through their booths and purchase 1 or 2 items. Let us promote them. Announcement number 2 is we proceed for lunch to where we were served yesterday. Announcement number 3 is I kindly request the Partnership Advisory Committee team to be left behind so then we can caucus with our 2 co-chairs on 1 or 2 things based on what JC has advised us. Announcement number 4 is that those of us who are driving, please, where we are going is not moving. We will find it there. So take your time. We are all one family. We need you. No need for unnecessary overtaking. No need for dashing or rushing. You will still find home there. So take your time. Drive safely. We need you safe. We need you back. And we pray that God takes care of you. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. I was being consulted. So with that, any administrative issue, Jennifer and the team and the colleagues will deal with that. But now I want to humbly request all of us to stand for our national anthem. Thank you so much. Wish you a safe journey and God bless you. Asante sana.
Serian el que conoce, con songo.